He was tall, of a fair complexion, round-limbed and rather full-faced, with eyes black and piercing. He enjoyed excellent health, except towards the close of his life, when he was subject to sudden fainting fits and disturbances in his sleep. He was likewise twice seized with the falling sickness while engaged in active service. He was extremely nice in the care of his person, and kept the hair of his head closely cut and had his face smoothly shaved. His baldness gave him much uneasiness, having often found himself on that score exposed to the gibes of his enemies. He used, therefore, to brush forward the hair from the crown of his head, and of all the honours conferred on him by the Senate and the people, there was none which he either accepted or used with greater pleasure than the right of wearing constantly a laurel crown. It is said that he was particular in his dress, for he wore the clavus latus with fringes about the wrists, and always had it girded about him. It is said he actually invaded Britain in hopes of finding pearls there. He was accustomed to compare the size of these and ascertain their weight merely by poising them in his hand. At any cost, he would purchase gems, carved works, statues, and pictures executed by eminent masters of antiquity. He was a notable ladies' man and indulged in many intrigues. He was especially intimate with Servilia, the mother of Marcus Brutus, for whom he purchased in his first consulship a pearl which cost him 6 million sesterces, and in the civil war, besides other presents assigned to her for a trifling consideration, some valuable farms that had been set up at public auction. He was so very exact in the management of his domestic affairs that he once threw a baker into prison for serving him a finer sort of his bread than his guests. In eloquence and warlike achievements, he equalled, if he did not surpass, the greatest of men. He was perfect in the use of arms, an accomplished rider, and able to endure fatigue beyond all belief. On a march, he used to go at the head of his troops, sometimes on horseback, but oftener on foot, with his head bare in all kinds of weather. He would travel post in a light carriage without baggage at the rate of 100 miles per day, and if he was stopped by floods in the rivers, he swam across or floated on skins inflated in the wind, so that he often anticipated the tidings of his movements. Often he rallied his troops by his own personal exertions, stopping those who fled, keeping others in their ranks, and, seizing men by the throat, turned them again towards the enemy. He always treated his friends with such kindness and good nature that when Gaius Oppius, in travelling with him through a forest, was suddenly taken ill, he resigned to him the only place there was to shelter them at night, and lay on the ground in the open air. The resentment he entertained towards anyone was never so implacable, but that he did not very willingly renounce it when opportunity offered, and various instances are cited of how he forgave enemies and detractors and worked for their interests after reconciliation.